Alright, so I've already played a lot of this, just up to level 3, but since this is my first video, I'll just start from the beginning. Yeah. So I'm going to be playing these games because I like racing, even though I know nothing about cars. And also because I've been told I need to learn to talk more, because I barely ever talk, and your vocal cords are a muscle, so gotta train them in order for me to actually talk for longer periods of time. Sometimes I go for like 2 days without talking, and then I have to talk again, and suddenly I'm like unable to because my voice gets so weak. So here we are. And most of the videos that I've seen of kids playing games are like 12-year-olds with like rage issues, so you won't be seeing a lot of rage on this channel though. I'm a fairly calm person, yeah, mostly calm. And racing, actually, it's fun. Like, all that speed that I don't get to experience in real life. Boom, here. So I guess for every video that I upload, I'll be talking about something slightly different, maybe what happened during my day or an interesting thing that I came across. And today, weirdly enough, I was thinking about girls versus boys, but not in, I don't know what sense you would be thinking about it in, but mostly I've had a fairly strong stance on whether males and females were capable of the same things. So I've always, whoa. I mean, I have conceded that males and females are different biologically, obviously. But in terms of the discrepancies with, oh my god. Sorry. I can't focus on two things at once. No, what the hell? So yeah, I've always considered that males and females are biologically different due to differences in our chromosomes, in our DNA. But I've always ascertained that the discrepancies between individual people were so large that although on average males may have some difference to females, in general you couldn't assume those differences for every single person you met. So if you meet a guy, you can't just immediately assume that he's going to be stronger than the next girl you meet, because he could be like some weak dude who's always at a computer all day, and she could be like a boxer. Like, you never know. So on an individual level, I think it doesn't really matter whether you're male or female in terms of what you can achieve. I think that depends more on your environment, how you're raised, what sort of things you're interested in, what sort of things you want to do. So, in that sense, yeah, males and females aren't too different. We're all just people. Hey, die. But, yeah. But, gender is like an interesting thing. Do we have gender roles because of our biology, or sorry, I really can't do two things at once. So perhaps men have been leaders or hunters, etc., because they have more testosterone and therefore they're more aggressive and loud. But then again, you can think of lots of female leaders who are way better than the men. And then maybe women stayed at home for a long time because women had to have children, so they had to rest and then they had to look after the children. But then there are women who can't have children or who won't have children, or there are like terrible mothers. In fact, sometimes the father is a much better caretaker than the mother. So again, it depends on the person, on the individual person. So not everyone is naturally inclined to act a certain way just because of their gender, right? For example, can women drive? Yes, most of the women I know drive perfectly fine. Some of the guys, however. But yeah. But yeah, so how much of the social construct, how much of these gender-based roles are based on just the society that we live in and the way we're brought up, and how much is based on actual biology, you know? Like, that's always, well, no, it hasn't confused me, because for a long time I just believed that the brain was genderless. So didn't matter what your brain was, your body was one way or another, that's just what you were, and then your brain was completely separate from that. That was just something I assumed. Oh my god, get out of my way, you loser. So that's just what I assumed until I came across transgender people, right? So transgender people, they look a certain way, but they believe themselves to be a different way, right? And that confused me for a long time because, well, firstly, I'm not trans, so I can't understand them, obviously. But I can try to empathize with them, like. But you know, the question was, and it probably sounds really ignorant, but like, how can one know that they're male when they look female, or vice versa, you know? Yeah. I apologize if I offend anyone. That was the general confusion that I faced. Because, yeah, like, I'd heard about, no, no, wait, maybe? Yes, okay. Yeah, because I'd heard about, like, body dysmorphia, body identity integrity disorder, but, like, that didn't really explain transgender people properly, and then, obviously, there are people who are born with different chromosomes, so, like, instead of just the XY for male or XX for female, they have different ones, or like a mutation in a part of it, which causes different biology. And like, I understood that because that was like physically visible, right? But I guess that in and of itself is a bit of a problem because a lot of the times we tend to differentiate, or like we tend to separate brain and the body a lot, which I don't think is necessarily correct anymore. Like, yes, your brain is doing the higher functioning stuff, but it's very much connected to your body, right? Your brain is connected to your body. Your body, you know, the microbes in your gut has an effect on your mood, right? What you eat has an effect on your mood, and therefore, oh my god, and therefore I was meant to Why isn't this drifting? Oh my god. Yeah, so the bacteria in your stomach has a direct effect on your mood and therefore on how you think, right? So this barrier between brain and body is really not that huge. It's kind of like you can't separate your brain from your body, and I think a lot of people used to do that. Used to separate brain and body a lot, or mind and body, or like this idea of a soul and your body, when in fact it's all the same thing, right? Your mind has an effect on your physical being, and your physical being has an effect on your mind. Anyway, that's a completely different tangent. What I was trying to say um, was that I didn't understand transgender people. So I asked a friend, because we were having like a discussion about how maybe, not maybe, but some studies seem to have shown that being gay seems to run, seems to come from your mother's side of the family. So there was a genetic link with the mother's side and with being gay, right? So I asked her, is there a genetic link for transgender people? And she was like, yes, which surprised me because I thought there hadn't been research done in this area because none of the, I don't know, like the little bit of news that I hear about transgender people in the media doesn't really talk about the biological basis, just the rights basis, right? So I just assumed that the science hadn't been done yet. But apparently it has, and I wikied it. Don't trust Wikipedia, but this did have sources. So, and yeah, there was a different, so a part of your genes for the male to female transgender people, they had a gene that basically, what is it? Well, it's not just one gene, but they had like a thing that made it so that you didn't get enough testosterone in your brain while during your development stages. No, I was meant to. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm getting confused as to which side is NOS and which side is breaking. Okay. So yeah, there was a different one for the males and for the what is it? Male to female. And there was a different one for female to male. And so it was a very, very much a genetic predisposition. And they also did identical twin studies. Like, so with twin studies, you test identical twins and then you test fraternal twins. So that way you know that the environmental conditions stay the same, but the genetic conditions are different. So with identical twins, the genetics are the same. They're like clones. And with fraternal twins, the genetics are like normal siblings. But they're born at the same time. They're probably raised the same way, right? Hopefully. So they did that and they found, yes, there's a genetic correlation. I think a third of the I don't remember the study, but yeah, so there was this genetic correlation that sort of predisposed some people to have maleness or femaleness, as in their brains were more geared to maleness or femaleness. And that really surprised me because, again, I thought there was a genderless brain, but clearly, I guess there isn't. I mean, there is a difference between male and female brains. So I guess scientifically speaking, yes, males and females have different brains. And that's not to say things like, oh yeah, male brains are bigger. than female brains because, I mean, men are bigger than females on average, so. And size doesn't really matter when it comes to brains. Otherwise, elephants would be the smartest people. No, not elephants. The whales have massive brains, but you know, who knows? Maybe they do have secret society, and they will overthrow people one day. But no, size doesn't really matter. And they say women's corpus callosums are bigger, which means the information from each side of the brain travels faster to the other side of the brain, whereas males apparently are more left brain-sided. Which, I don't know, like, even if that were the case, I feel like it'd be different for individuals. And the whole thing about males having better spatial awareness, again, I think that's something to do with the way guys are raised. They're raised playing video games or playing sports, whereas girls are not necessarily, like, they're not really made to play sports all the time. Like, that whole spatial awareness thing that comes into playing sports or playing video games, it's not really as developed. And, like, the brain is a plastic thing. If you really train it in one area, then you'll definitely get better in that area. And if you don't use that area of your brain, you don't develop the skills, and maybe later in life it'll just be harder and harder to gain those skills. So, like, the brain is a plastic thing. That's how the brain works. What was I saying? So there is a difference between males and females, but it's not it doesn't seem to be the cultural, I mean, the way that people see it in popular culture. But then I don't really know what it means to have a male or female brain. So, die. So I guess my conclusion after all this is maybe the femaleness or the maleness of your brain, how that affects the way you live, really just depends on you as a person. So yes, like, maybe you are female, maybe you like feminine things, but maybe you don't like feminine things. That doesn't mean you're transgender, necessarily. It could, but it also doesn't have to. Yeah. Okay, let's just talk about cisgendered people, because I'm not transgender. So let's just say I, as a... Oh God, my brother's here, bye. So yesterday, my brother randomly came back home, and I aborted mission quickly because, well, he wouldn't say anything, but it's just embarrassing to be caught, like, talking to yourself while playing some random games. Yeah. So anyway, I think we were up to this one. Were we? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, so what was I talking about? Don't really remember, so I think I'll just summarize what I think about whatever topic we were talking about. So basically, I guess the question is for everyone is, how does our brains, maleness and femaleness, affect the way we behave, and to what extent? And if I were an actual scientific researcher, I might look at the literature that's already been published about this. I might look at articles where experts in the area, talk about this. But I am simply a person playing a video game, so I'll leave that up to someone else to do. But my own conclusion is, in summary, I believe that although there are male brains and female brains, and maybe even gender fluid brains, because there are people who don't really subscribe to the male female dichotomy, which, oh my god, that would be a whole other issue, wouldn't it? Anyway, so there are some sort of gendered brains, but in the end, I think that the variety amongst individuals is so great that there is no significant. Oh my god, what am I doing? Hold on, let me just concentrate on racing this damn car. Yum. So yeah, I think that the difference between individuals is so great, and the variety is so great that there's no significant difference between genders, especially in regards to being able to do something that you want to do. And we should not be prematurely judged for an activity based on, oh my god, based on gender. And I think, it's a bit unfair that, yes. Hold on, let me just finish this lap. Straight going the rest of the way, okay. I shouldn't, and it's a bit unfair that society primes us to think or be a certain way based on gender. Like, yeah, just because I'm a gal or a guy, they raise us different ways, have different expectations of us, etc. But I don't know, you can disagree with me, of course. You can leave a comment saying, I don't have the capacity to think about science or philosophy because that's not a gal's job. But yeah, tell me what you think in the comments, and I think I'll stop there for now. Okay, bye.